Okay, welcome everyone. What we're going to do today is a piece from the Sichas Aran, which is a teaching from Rebbe Nachman. And, it seems like a very simple teaching. And the teaching very much focuses in on the realm of emotion. And I think yesterday we were speaking a little bit about the soul and the place of emotion and where emotion features within our experience of spirituality. And yesterday where we were much more focusing on the vitality that's in our bodies and the spiritual elements of that consciousness, today Rebbe Nachman is going to teach us how to deal with our emotions. Okay, so let's have a look. Before we have a look at Rebbe Nachman, what I want to just share with you is a meditation from the Chofetz Chaim. Chofetz Chaim would teach very profoundly on the verse in the Shema. It says that Hashem commands us, Hayoim. Okay, what's the verse there? Asher anochi mitzavcha hayoim al levavecha. Yeah, that I command you on this day into your heart, okay, or on your heart. And now what the Chofetz Chaim would teach is that a person needs to have the following mentality when engaging with mitzvahs. The first thing is that they have to understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is commanding this to you. There's a direct commandment. There's a direct engagement with you, and this is a commandment that's focusing on you. And that's Asher Anochi Mitzavacha, which is there is a specific singularity in the mitzvah, in the commandment to you specifically. Mitzavacha is singular, and you are the one that is commanded. Asher Anochi Mitzavacha Hayoim. Today is the only day to perform this. So many people are distracted by multiple days in their experience of life. And what we're learning here is today is the only day that there is. Obviously, we have a blessing and we should all be blessed with long lives. But in our experience of life, it's just today. Asher anochi mitzavacha hayoim. But the final one, which is very powerful, is al levavecha, which is on your heart. And what we often don't realize is in order to get into a state of mindfulness or a state of focused practice, and especially when a person is engaging with prayer and mitzvahs and the general engagement with life, where we want to bring spirituality into our existence, the issue that we face is we are very distracted, very, very bombarded by our thinking and our mentality. And the initial things of realizing that Hashem is directly engaging with you, and you are the only one that is around, you are the only one, Anoichi, you are the only one, so to speak, that is in existence, and that there is the framework of only today. Today is the only day that I have the opportunity to fulfill what I need to fulfill. So it focuses in you in the exact experience of now. But the finality of that is al levavecha, which means on your heart. And what the Chofetz Chaim explains is in order to be mindful, you need to actually have an emotional connectivity with that moment. If your emotions aren't on board, it's almost impossible for an individual to hone into the experience of what they're doing. The emotions have to be there. If the emotions aren't there, then it's almost impossible to retain a sense of mindfulness and a state of presence. So Rebbe Nachman explains to us the following in the sikha that we sent out a little bit earlier. Be'inyan hatfilah, regarding the element of prayer. Lepamim ein adam shum hislavus be'atfilah. So when a person engages with prayer, and we can extrapolate prayer to not only the state of prayer, but to any engagement with one's emotions. Yeah, so you can wake up in the morning and you just don't feel emotionally present, or you don't feel an exuberance or an excitement to be alive, So what do you do? So he says, Utzrichen lasos la'atzmai, kislavus v'chamimus leiv boyer la'atfila. He says, you don't feel it. You actually don't feel anything. But you need to create a fire of passion, of heat that's in the heart, almost that the heart is burning up for prayer. Okay, that's the right state of mind, the right state of emotion that a person needs to be in when they're connecting to prayer. And essentially, when they're connecting to the deeper essence of life, we need that emotion on site. So he says, how do you do that? Shenimse lepamim shadam la'oise la'atzmai roiges ad sheba bekas v'nisrages kamoikein mamish the kedusha be'inyan atfila tzrichem lepamim la'asis la'atzmai roiges v'yaseh chamimos v'sarev v'lei v'dibra tfila. Okay, so what he says is the following. Very, very interesting. He says, if I was to ask one of you now, or all of you, to get yourself angry about something, okay? I'm sure every individual can think about something to create that fire of anger in the self, okay? And it's very, very quick. That's the most flammable type of emotion, yeah? The anger that can be incited in a person. And he says, just like you can imagine, and we've all had those experiences, bar Mark there maybe, but we've all had those experiences of being incited or feeling an anger. Now, what we have to realize is the person that's inciting us is not the other individual. In fact, we are the ones that are inciting ourselves through being prepared to get angry. Now we've made ourselves, we want to get angry about this. This is something we want to be angry about. So what do? We think about it, we consider it, we engage with it, we bring those thoughts into our hearts, into our minds, and now the anger is a flame. So that's what he says here. The same needs to take place when we come into our interaction with prayer. That prayer or that type of practice can then be extrapolated to our engagement with a mindfulness practice throughout the day as well, throughout garnering our emotions to be focused on what needs to be done. What we're learning here is the following. Emotions are exactly as their name says. Emotions are emotions. They create motion. They create movement. And what we have to understand is these are colors, these are spices that create movement in what we're meant to engage with. And it's in our hands. So we have something to do. We have a task we need to engage with. We understand we need to be present in that task. What we need to do, am I losing you in terms of the internet? Yeah. Is that just Gary? No. Okay, it could be just Gary. But what we're seeing here is Rebbe Nachman is saying, person needs to instate that type of anger in themselves, just like they do that with anger, not that they should be doing that with anger. That's that same type of passion that they can instate when it comes to prayer. Then a person's heart can be aflame with the words that they speak in prayer. Okay, this is important. And then what happens? When a person almost puts their heart aflame, okay, switches on the high temperature gauge within their heart, then it says their engagement with prayer turns on to be real. There's an element of real emotional engagement that starts to sprout out from that experience, and you actually get pulled into the tefillah fully. And now, Rebbe Nachman extrapolates this to the element of simcha, of happiness. The prat b'shas tefillah. And he always brings this, especially at the time of tefillah, which is a concept of meditation, that we need to have those moments in our lives where we are fully engaged with the spiritual, fully mindful, fully present. And that's the time of tefillah. So now he's going to speak about happiness. So where we initially spoke about the element of passion and exuberance and focus, here he's going to speak about the element of happiness, of joy. Tefillah needs to be with a great joy, a great happiness. And a person needs to really pull themselves into a state of simcha. We get lazy. Yeah, and this I think what we can extrapolate from Rebbe Nachman. What we see is there is an element of laziness when it comes to being susceptible to our emotions. Emotions are just tools. And when a person feels a certain emotion, yes, we understand that we have to allow ourselves to feel certain emotions, and we have to allow ourselves to engage and understand our emotions, and sometimes just give ourselves the opportunity to feel. But what we're seeing here is there's another element, and that is the element of not being lazy when it comes to emotions, that we just allow our emotions to take us and bring us to a certain place of despondency. And what he's saying here is that we have to instate the element of simcha, but prat b'shas tefillah kemuva ala posuk, azamra lelakei ba'oidi, v'chulei, ayin sham, v'im lepamim data mavulbal, v'ene yachol b'shum oifen esameach. Now what happens? And he says here, if a person is totally troubled, a person is totally bombarded, v'ene yachol b'shum oifen esameach, and they can't do anything to experience a state of simcha. They can't do anything to feel a state of joy. They are just so bombarded. And so many people are experiencing that now. You know, there is a lot of people that just feel, how do you expect me to even become happy when I'm just so confused? Yeah. What we're seeing here is something very interesting, the interrelationship between confusion and overthinking and happiness. When a person is overthinking and confused, it's almost impossible to feel a state of joy. What we're seeing is the first step is to be mindful, is to be totally present and not mebulbal in order to enter into happiness. Okay? So he says here, what do you do when you are so troubled with whatever's bothering you that you can't feel happiness? So he says the following, this is what you should do. And it might sound crazy, but this is the Eitzah from Rebbe Nachman, and let's see how we can integrate this into ourselves. Az eitzosoi shiase atzmoi ki ilu hu sameach. You know what you're meant to do? What you're meant to do is trick yourself. Make it as if you are happy. Make it as if you are happy. Ha ha! Yes! There's a state of joy, a state of happiness. Put a smile on your face. You know, just act like you're happy. Feel a state of happiness, a state of movement. You know, I'll give you an example of this. One of my rabbis, he very courageously and humbly shared with us that sometimes in the morning he doesn't feel like getting up in the morning to daven. He doesn't feel an excitement. So he loves, that's right, yes. He loves, Philip wrote here, fake it. Correct, 100%. Fake it. Yes, fake the joy and the joy will come. So he would picture, he loved swimming, or loves swimming. So he would picture himself going, he needs to go swimming in the morning, yeah? And it's almost like the emotions would come on par, it would come into himself, and then he would take those same emotions that were tricked, almost brought into the front because he needed to go swimming now, there was no swimming pool around there, you know? He was able to bring those same emotions and now bring them into the state of experiencing the tefillah. And that's what we're seeing here. Fake the joy, fake the happiness, fake the state of being excited. And he says, what will happen from that? Even though in the beginning, you know it's not happening. You're not feeling happy. Yeah, you're really not. There's no simcha in your heart. You're not feeling it. Through making yourself as if you're happy, you will actually be able to bring in that emotion of simcha. You'll be able to pull it in, force it into your life. Rebbe Nachman, one of the greatest Kabbalists, deep halachic thinkers, and deep philosophy that's being taught from Rebbe Nachman, says a very big eitzah for happiness. is to bring in, fake it, bring in that state of state of joy in an external fashion. And you'll then be able to bring that in a deep way and actually experience it in a true way. And that's what we're seeing here, that a person, anything that they're doing, okay, what a person needs to do if he brings it specifically to a davar kedusha, okay, when you engaging initially with learning, or what it may be in terms of the learning, for sure you're excited with, but when it comes to davening, when it comes to different things, you don't feel so excited to be involved with, yeah. Pretend you are. Give yourself a state of exuberance. Almost trick yourself into a state of joy, and then you'll be able to catalyze that as a real experience. Pull those emotions into the front of that experience. So that's the Eitzah from Rebbe Nachman. Let's see what our chevra here have to say. We have Rebbe Nachman here with us, who is a therapist, and we'd love to hear her take on this teaching. How does this fit in with modern day therapy, Rebbe Nachman?
We make use often of laugh therapy in practices today. It's quite a big thing, using laugh therapy, because you find that when people reach a certain level of depression and of unhappiness, that the only way to get them out of it is by them faking happiness.
Amazing.
It's all relevant. It's all, yeah.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Rebbe Nachman. Neil, you're
what more can I add, Rov?
You have a therapist on hand there, hey? It's amazing.
That's it. So what more can I add? I can only endorse.
Yeah. So what we can
everything. I've always had this saying, "Gamzu l'tova," and everything's for the good, and always makes you happy. You know, if you have that attitude and you have emunah, can't go wrong.
Yeah. But what we're seeing here is even on a very micro scale, on a day-to-day experience level, we see that our emotions aren't to be taken too seriously. They are colors, they are energies that come in. So obviously it has to be treated if there's a negativity that's constantly there. But what the issue is we often over-associate ourselves with our emotions. And that over-association is very dangerous. Oh, I'm feeling so horrible now. And then the whole world is black. Oh my gosh, when am I going to get out of this? What we're seeing here is our emotions are just colors. And we're actually much more in control and have somewhat of an autonomy over our emotions through actually tricking them, through thinking about certain things that create a sense of joy, through very simply, and Rav Kook speaks about this, creating movement and momentum in our lives. So one of the most important things, if it's not from a emotional or conceptual level, is from a physiological or physical level. And that is, if a person is not feeling that movement and that motion in a positive way, the last thing you should do is stay stagnant. The last thing you should do is not move. You know, if you're feeling too lazy to go out for a walk in the morning, that's dafka the morning you need to go. That's dafka the time you need to move, you know? And that's what we're seeing. This morning, didn't feel like going. And I knew, Gewalt, if I don't go, Shmulik, you're in big trouble. And I went, and I was just so thankful to go for a walk in the forest there, Gewaldig, with my dog and my son. I put my dog before my son there. I'm sure you noticed that. And the experience there was just a beautiful experience of movement, the vitality that we need to feel. And that's what Rebbe Nachman is saying. When you don't feel inspired, trick yourself. He's saying, even use the energy of anger to bring in a state of passion. And then quickly take that spice, take that energy, take that fire, and now bring it into a state of hislavus, a state of passion for joy. Okay? However you do it. He's saying, like, just you switch on that switch for anger, you can switch on that same switch for passion. Okay? Something to think about, I think very important in terms of not overly identifying with our emotions. It's a very important thing to get out of this, that these are just colors, spices, but they don't define us. And secondly, to see that we actually have much more control over our emotions than we do. And generally the laziness that's inside of us, all right, here's the emotion. Netflix, sitting on the bed and just binging on Netflix because I'm feeling depressed. That's the easiest state of being. There's nothing to do in the black pit, black hole of existential nothingness. There's nothing more exuberant than that. So what we're learning here is no, we have an achrayus, we have something incumbent upon us, and that is to really manage our emotions, bring them into the picture even when we're not feeling it. Okay, that's the concept here. Anyone want to say something about this or ask a question? Okay, yeah, Mark.
Yeah, maybe, Rolf. No, shame. Everyone's so quiet. So now I understand that expression, fake it until you make it. I think Philip might have alluded to that. So that certainly makes sense. Obviously, maintaining a sense of authenticity, but I understand the process. So I just thought of the most simple analogy, like we've all been in lockdown and your car might not start. So when you have that expression about jumpstart, sometimes you take your car and you just roll it down the hill until it starts running. So like throw yourself into that. And even though you don't know where you're going to end up, just follow that momentum and direction and it'll kickstart and you'll get going where you want to be.
Beautiful. That's very, very, very spot on. Thank you for that. Gewaldig. Yeah, 100% Marky. And that is to jumpstart our emotions and take even something external, get it going, get it moving. But as we learned this morning, something very powerful, and that is we have an obligation when it comes to our engagement with spirituality to feel the emotion there. And the emotion is up to us to feel. So when we're going to step into Mincha now, if you haven't davened yet, try and meditate for a couple of moments before that. And actually bring a hislavos, bring an emotional energy of excitement and presence. As a Chofetz Chaim explained, bring yourself into the experience totally, bring that in. Because that's what we're going to be left with when it comes to the world to come, is those emotional levels that we got to in our connectivity with our mitzvahs. Okay, so it should be with brocha for everyone. I look forward to seeing you later on at tomorrow morning at 9:15. All the very best, guys. It should be with brocha, and lovely to see you as always.
Rolf, thanks very much. Brilliant. And shkoyach to Marky. Marky made a beautiful statement there.
And shkoyach to Rebbe Nachman. Gewaldig. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
I really enjoy your sharing. It resonates with me a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
To have you. Thank you. Thank you. All the best, guys. Be well. Lots of bracha.
Thank
you.
Cheers.